Involved in this story is me, female 35, my husband, male 40, our daughter Lola, female, our nanny Mary, 38 female, and her husband Joe, male in his 40s. When I was pregnant with Lola, I spent 14 weeks on bed rest. My husband hired Mary to basically be me while I couldn't. She was an angel and quickly became part of our family. She was with us when Lola was born, and I really saw her as a sister/best friend. We have never had any issues with Mary. She's always been great with Lola, so sweet and loving. Lola has only recently started to speak a few words, and because of this, Mary is one of the few people my husband and I trust to take care of Lola for overnights, etc. Mary's resume included a whole host of previous childcare positions and childcare education. A couple of months ago, Lola was chatting away and mentioned Mommy Mary. I wasn't too concerned because she has very limited vocabulary, and I know that multiple childcare providers can be confusing for toddlers. A few days later, the nanny phone was vibrating constantly in the drawer and driving me crazy, so I got it out to turn it off and saw the notifications were Instagram comments, and one said, "Mary, you and your Lola are so cute." I was kind of confused. We have an agreement with Mary that she doesn't share Lola on her social media, and we also follow each other on Instagram, so I know she doesn't post her. So I opened the comments to see a photo of Mary and Lola from an account I didn't recognize. After going through the profile, I found out that Mary had a secret Instagram hidden from her friends and family, where she pretended to strangers that Lola was her daughter. I was completely disgusted and freaked out. My husband and I went straight to lawyers and the police and filed a restraining order against her, and my husband wants to press formal charges, although I'm not sure what they could charge her with. I know we're not in the wrong for this, but her husband recently messaged me explaining that Mary has been suffering from infertility issues and a miscarriage about a year ago triggered her, and that's when she started the profile. He said that she never meant any harm and that she truly loves Lola. I do not want to drop the restraining order, but it does mean she will likely never work with children again. I'm torn because I don't want to be responsible for ruining her career when she truly does love children. Reddit, am I the a-hole for not dropping the restraining order? Now the top comments. Nope, not the a-hole. I sympathize with her suffering, but it doesn't excuse the fact that she's using your daughter to cope with her issues. She may not intend any harm, but she still should never have pretended nor claimed that your daughter was hers. I used to have neighbors whose son almost got kidnapped by his babysitter because the boy reminded her of her dead son. She's been working with them for almost 3 years, and it was a shock to everyone that she would attempt that. So don't back down on this. For all the people asking, the nanny got caught because the parents found out that a few of the kids' clothes, things like bottles and even a blanket, and toys go periodically missing. Like a shirt would disappear every week or so. They caught her stealing a bunch of stuff after they secretly put a CCTV camera on their child's room, so they questioned her. It turns out that the nanny was sneaking out the stuff to her own house to prepare to move my son back to her house. She's now in jail, thankfully. Not the a-hole. She should not be around children if she's going so far as to have an entire fake life on social media, where she's the mother to a child that isn't really hers. She needs help, and you need to protect your family. Get the restraining order ASAP. Make sure any and all family who know her know she is no longer trustworthy. Make sure if your daughter is in any care program, she does not leave with anyone but you or hubby unless specified otherwise with your explicit consent. Please do not feel guilty about this. She did it to herself. So my girlfriend and I have dated for just barely 3 years. She has met my immediate family, but she has never met my extended family. So we have a tradition where once a month my grandmother hosts a Sunday dinner for the entire family at her estate. We all show up, and if you're old enough to use a stove, you cook. My girlfriend has never attended until very recently. The first time she did was in December, prior to Christmas. This is because my grandmother would prefer to not have any non-family and partners that haven't been around for a while present. When she attended in December, I got word that my grandmother didn't approve of her choice of clothing and wouldn't welcome her back if she doesn't dress better. My aunt told me that grandma thought she dressed whorish. Now, I fully disagree, and so did my family and my aunt. My girlfriend was admittedly dressed slightly less conservative than the other women, but I wouldn't call what she was wearing immodest at all. So I told my girlfriend and asked her if she would dress more conservatively next time. So come January, the dinner is a Sunday. I wanted to not have a repeat of what happened last time, as I want her to get FaceTime with my family. I asked my girlfriend to show me her dress before this weekend's. She did, and the dress was less conservative. Again, it wasn't immodest, but just less conservative, and I know it would piss my grandmother off again. She said no, as she really liked the dress and it was modest. I told her that what's modest to her isn't going to be what's modest to an 89-year-old woman. I told her if she wanted to buy a dress, I'd pay for it. She refused. After some arguing, she proved that she was not going to budge. I told her that if she didn't change, it would be better if she just not show up, and we tried to find a solution for next month. She then said she wasn't getting a different dress, and I told her that it's best she not come and I'd go without her. She told me I was being unreasonable and putting an old woman's outdated views over her freedom. I feel like I was being very reasonable. Now the top comments. Not the a-hole. What ultra-woke Redditors need to understand that all is not when it comes to the elderly sometimes. It's your grandmother's home and invite, and she has one requirement. I get it, her body, her choice. But what the younger generation of today needs to get an effing grip with is you need to pick your goddamn battles. Because fighting a dress war with an elderly grandma, who probably won't be around much longer, is ridiculous. Jesus, people, stop trying so effing hard to make everything your battle line. Chill the F out. Your grandmother is never ever ever going to understand this hard line. She just won't. Your fiancé is being childish. Damn it, suck it up and wear an effing modest dress for a couple of hours. It's hard to pass judgment here. As a female, 19 years old, if I were going out with my soulmate's family for dinner, out of common courtesy and respect, I would dress decently and leave all the spicy dresses for private dates between me and my SO. What my SO's family think about me is more important than a spicy outfit I can wear whenever, especially taking into consideration that this person may be in my forever future. First impressions really matter if you think of it in that way. Is this the first time grandma is meeting her? But I can see your concern about being an a-hole for trying to dictate what your girlfriend's choice of outfit, which shows me you really do care. But if she's wanting to go to a family dinner, popping her breasts for everyone to see, then I would say no too. I wouldn't let the man I'm dating come to my dinner with someone in my family just wearing a Speedo with his junk out and a button-up. If it's something small like a sleeveless dress though, then yes, I would see where you'd consider the a-hole here. But from what you've given us, I don't think you're the a-hole. You care about what your family thinks about your girlfriend and really want them to approve of her. Plus, if this is a girl you want in your future, or you see in your future, then you also are considering how her relationship with your family is going to be. I am 14 and I live with my dad and stepmom. My mom passed away when I was 5, and my dad and stepmom got together when I was 9. And they got me to move in with my nan. 2 years ago, my nan had a stroke, and she had to go to a nursing home, so I moved in with my dad and stepmom. Ever since my dad and stepmom got together, I couldn't spend time with just my dad. My stepmom had to come too. I always got the vibe she didn't really like me, so I had no idea why she always wanted to hang out with me. It made hanging out with my dad really awkward. When I moved back in with them, it got worse. Because every time we were having a conversation, she'd come in like, "What are you talking about?" and just join in the conversation even if it had nothing to do with her. If she could, she would stand or sit in between us too. I mentioned it to my dad a couple times, and he said he never noticed and he doesn't think it's true that it's every time. He was like, "It's her house too, she can hang out with us if she wants." I don't think I was getting through to him that it was every time and it was weirding me out. So next time she did it, I was like, "Hey, why do you always come in and join every conversation I have with my dad and stand between us?" And she laughed and said, "Oh, I'm just a bit of a jealous person." And when I asked what she meant, she was like, "I get jealous when my husband spends time with other girls." I told her that was really weird and I'm not another girl, I am his daughter. My dad and stepmom keep insisting it was a joke, but it really creeped me out and I can't help but to take it seriously. I asked her to stop butting into our conversations, and she was like, "Oh, so I need your permission to talk to my own husband in my own home?" Which is definitely not what I was saying at all. Now my stepmom is acting all hurt and upset, and my dad wants me to apologize for hurting her feelings. He says I deliberately overreacted to her joke just because I don't like her, and I was taking any excuse to be mean to her and exclude her. But I really feel like it was a weird joke to make, even if she didn't 100% mean it like that. And I think I have the right to be weirded out by it. Plus, I think I have the right to ask to spend some time just with my dad, and it doesn't mean I'm trying to exclude her. Now the top comments. Wait, you lived with your nan from when your dad and stepmom got together until your nan was no longer able to take care of you, correct? I'm assuming this wasn't your choice since you were a little kid at the time. She's absolutely jealous of you, and she wasn't joking. You weren't allowed to live with your own parent for F's sake. I don't know who is more of the a-hole here, her or your dad, but it sure as hell isn't you. Not the a-hole, and both of the adults in this situation should be ashamed of themselves. Not the a-hole. I would ask him why he made you live with your nana. If he says, well, stepmom, I'd stop him there right after and say, but why? Is it because you're another girl in his life? If your nana didn't have a stroke, when would you be allowed to come live with them? Also, is when you can have actual father-daughter time without your stepmom. You just want to spend some time with him, and you're open to having some bonding time with your stepmom, just you and her if she feels like you're trying to exclude her. Also, make it known that you don't like any type of implication that makes it seem like you aren't his daughter. Ask him where it was funny. Ask her to explain how that's funny. I honestly don't see a joke. I see a step-parent who doesn't want to be a step-parent and wants to be the only girl in your father's life, and makes sure you're both never alone together. If she makes that joke again, I would joke back, like, that would be incest with what you're implying and we're just joking, right? Or, dang dad, you should be careful, that's a 25 to life felony right there. Not to mention incest, you should thank stepmom for keeping a good eye on you, and say it was just a joke. Petty jokes back. I, female 35, agreed to watch my friend's female 34 child, male 5, overnight when her dad had a medical emergency. She expected that she'd only be there a few hours, but at the hospital, her dad fell into a coma, and she asked if it was okay if her son stayed overnight with me. Of course, I said yes. The next evening when she came to pick him up, she was livid that he hadn't been bathed. Although he was by no means filthy, just a little sweaty, maybe from the upset in his routine. Here's the thing, her son is autistic and terrified of showers. I did not have a bathtub at the time, and knowing his terror of showers, I'd babysat him before and she had left instructions to fill the tub without him in the bathroom because even that triggers him. I opted to clean him with baby wipes and a warm washcloth, which she was cooperative with. She put him in his car seat and then returned to the house to say that I'd messed up his bedtime routine. She couldn't believe I'd sent her son home dirty, and she thought I was a better friend than that, and I needed to be more sensitive to the needs of autistic kids. She posted this rant on her social media once she arrived home. Now, I thought our time together had gone well. He cried for about 15 minutes after drop-off, but after we watched his favorite show, ate a snack, and I put him to bed. In the morning, he woke up asking for her, but no tears. Breakfast and lunch were eaten, we played some of his sign language games, cuddled with my cat, then I wiped him as clean as I could. So, am I the a-hole? Should I have pressed the shower issue? I admittedly have very little experience with autism. He's the only person I know who has been diagnosed, and based on her prior instructions, I felt I did the best I could in the circumstances. Now the top comments. Not the a-hole. As someone who works with kids on the spectrum, you recognize the limitations of your environment and avoided him having a full meltdown by forcing him into the shower. It sounds like he was happy, fed, and comfortable with you. That is truly all your friend can ask for. I am sure her anger is just being aimed at you. You did great, OP. I'm not a nanny or a parent, but not only would I never ever feel comfortable bathing someone else's child, even if I was asked by the parents, I would be pretty upset if another adult that's not the child's parents or grandparents bathed them. If it was my child, unless it warrants a call to Child Protective Services, I stay the F out of raising other people's children. Since I'm not a father, I don't feel comfortable offering unsolicited advice on something I'm not qualified for. Most children who are sexually abused are victimized by a family member or family friend, and not a stranger in a Chevy van. So it's super important to teach your children strict boundaries regarding touching and nudity. I've been a nanny to 2 small kiddos for 2.5 years now, and I'm pretty sure I've bathed them each precisely once. The older one when he was 3 and had a stomach bug, puke everywhere, and the younger one at about the same age when she peed her pants, and was so upset about it that popping her into the tub with her bath toys was as much about caring for her emotions as it was getting her clean. In both instances, these were kids that needed my help anyway with daily personal tasks like getting dressed and wiping their bums. So there was an existing trust and comfort there. If I was watching a kid as a one-off thing, I wouldn't make any assumptions about helping them bathe.